So last night, Baruch Hashem, we had a beautiful Farbrengen in Crown Heights. Moshe's son, Usher, invited me to Farbrengen for his class in Beis Medrash, I guess, from the Yeshiva Migdal Emek. And it was so good, I could have sat there all night, literally. It was so geschmack. But knowing that I have to be up early morning for you guys and other things, so I had to curtail the Farbrengen, but did invite them to join me Shabbos. I said Shabbos, there's no phones and no WhatsApps and no emails, and there's nowhere to go. So if you want to have more, walk over. It's not a long walk, 50 minutes, an hour. It's going to be nice Shabbos, and join me here. But anyway, wonderful, wonderful group of Bakr. It must have been about 15, 20 guys in total. And I gave everyone a sefer that Rabbi Yoel, my mashpia, wrote, which I was zeichet to print, not for him indirectly, but it's two famous letters that he wrote in 1980s when the Satmar were attacking Chabad, and it was very difficult. And there was shalom bayis issues amongst some of the Satmar, because some guys that were Satmar became Chabad, and the in-laws didn't know, and they wanted divorce. And so Rabbi Yoel wrote two tremendous letters. In one, he explains what the real shita of the Satmar Rav about the Shalosh Ruas, about Eretz Yisrael becoming a state, which he argued is a violation of the three oaths, it's Gemara and Sukkos, and Rabbi Yoel took that apart, and in a respectful way, and I believe shows that the Hasidim, the Satmar, the Kanoim, and don't really understand what he wrote. And that's one long letter. And the other one is about what's the justification in Chabad to put film on people and do the mivtzoyim and outreach. How is that matim to Chochmah bin Adas? Chochmah bin Adas is daven for hours, think chassidus for hours, and what does that have to do with putting on film people on the street? We're not a social organization. You can have many social organizations do that. You don't need Chabad. So Rabbi Yoel explains the whole shita, the Rebbe's the shita, how it's rooted in pristine, pure Alter Rebbe Chabad. It's a must read. I told them every single guy here must not just read it, must learn it and must memorize it, because it will help you the rest of your life. You'll be talking to people, you'll be meeting people, regardless of what you do. The sefer is called Mana Chochem, the response of the wise one. It was, a friend, a person I know here in Borough Park, was a big Talmud Chochem. He rewrote Rabbi Yoel's letters because he put it into B'nai Torah language. You know what I'm saying? He made it equal to any sefer that any Litvak yeshiva would have. So it's a masterpiece and a must read. It's not in English. It would be a coup to make it in English, but I don't have the energy, the time, and whatever. So for now, it's not in English. I hope one day it will be in English. But it's a phenomenal piece. What do you want to ask, Moshe?
Well, the first question was, I think it was in English. You said no. How long of a sefer is it?
It's 120 pages, so probably it's 50, 60 pages each, something like that. Okay. So it's not long, and it's not short. Maybe it's even shorter. Maybe it's 80, 100 pages. And if you want, maybe one day we could learn it together. Maybe one day we could.
That sounds like be fascinating.
Fascinating. So. Yeah. So then Usher has no place. I have the story that I reprinted it, being told that it will sell, and then some chassid went and stole the product and reprinted it on his own. Yeah, and I'm left with 1,000 copies in my basement. And I called him. I found out who it is. I did some investigative work, and I said, "You don't even call?" He says, "You don't have a copyright. Rabbi Yoel Khan wrote it. Show me your copyright." I said, "God has a copyright." And this was like 6, 7, 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I said, it was before Yom Kippur. I said, you want to go into Yom Kippur doing this to a Yid? I said, check yourself out. And that's all. So, but Baruch Hashem, what?
Maybe, well, I was going to say, maybe we could talk about how to get some from you,
So yeah, no, there's it's not a heavy, even 10 copies, it would be a small package. Maybe ask Usher if some of his friends. I think that between the friends, each one takes 2 of this or that, and they give it all to him when they come there, and then he gives it to you guys. So we could do that. I would like to do that. That would be a nice thing to start after Yom Tov if we can get it accomplished. And if not, but it's a worthwhile read. At least one of the letters. I'm not sure both. The second letter for sure. So anyway, I gave each one a gift last night, a sefer. I inscribed it, wished them a good year, and I hope that it'll benefit them. I know it will benefit them. I didn't get a chance really to dialogue, because I saw there was a lot of the Bachurim had things that they would want to talk to me about privately and things like that. But, it wasn't in the setting of a Farbrengen, and also when you're on a clock, I got to run at 10:30, so it just doesn't, if we went to 12, 1, 2 in the morning and there's more time, you can open up some discussion at the table, but it just wasn't that way. So I gave them a taste, and this way they'll invite me another time.
Very nice. I got feedback already from one of Usher's friends. When I woke up this morning, he said it was great.
Yeah, and I tell you, I told Usher before, I said, I have 2 rules. One rule is no cell phones. I said, I don't hit, and no talking, otherwise I pick myself and I said, I have a lot on my plate, and it's not easy for me to give you these 2 hours, 2.5 hours, but I'm doing it. And the second thing is, nigunim. I said, we got to, and they were great. There was no phones, I'm telling you, and they were singing with me, and I with them. And we were mamish. I don't know if they took a video. I hope it'll come out, and I hope we can get it, put it on YouTube. But we were singing about 10 different nigunim, strong nigunim and strong singing. It was really uplifting. And I told him, I said, listen, I'm looking for ways of doing tshuva, so I figured I might as well try this. Anyway, let's talk for a few minutes about Yom Kippur and Sukkos Torah. So Yom Kippur in Chabad is pretty straightforward. Erev Yom Kippur, by the way, we do kapparas in the morning. If you can get to a chicken, great. If not, use money. And the main thing is to give the money to people who need it, or make sure that the chickens are given to people like that. There's always a question, is it better to do it with a chicken and they throw it out versus money and it goes to, you give it to tzedakah? Ask your local rabbi who paskins for you, what he thinks, what he paskins. To me, it's a serious issue. We need to say, it's a hard question to answer. Because on one hand, you want to do the chicken, but if they take the chicken, what's the answer? Even if they throw out the chicken, the moiset gets the money from the chicken. But in Shulchan Aruch it says that you should eat from the chicken. My wife growing up in Australia, they did kapparas in the morning. Then her grandmother, took the chicken from kapparas, kashered it. You know how to kasher it. She kashered it, and they ate that chicken at Sudas Hamafsekis, at the Suda. At the Suda, the main meal, the second meal. But anyway, you have your Rabbanim, you talk to them, ask them what they paskin, or if you have a psak already, whatever. Anyway, so it's kapparas in the morning. It's a festive day in the sense of having 2 meals, It means you should wash twice. A meal in halacha means washing. Now again, if because of dieting or health you can't, we understand. But otherwise, you should wash twice. Doesn't mean you have to fress away in the morning, but you should wash twice, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. And make sure you light a candle or candles for your parent or or a relative or whatever for Yisker, and then some light also another licht, another candle for Yom Kippur. I forget now. I have to check in the minhagim. I don't have that in front of me, so don't quote me. Check in the Chabad minhagim if there's an inyan to light a separate candle for Yom Kippur. Does anyone remember here? Yes, Moshe.
Isn't it called a lebedika?
A lebedika licht. Yes. So we like that. Yes. So again, if you didn't light it, it's not the end of the world. But if you're buying candles for the Yom Tov to light, so make sure to do that too. And we go to the mikveh. Now the Chabad, the pure, strict Chabad minhag is to go to the mikveh 3 times tomorrow. Once before Kapparas. Once before Mincha and Malchus. Wait a minute. Malchus is before Mincha, sorry. Is Malchus after mikveh, before mikveh? Remind me. I always get confused. I think Malchus is before mikveh. No? Anyway, it says it in the minhagim. So anyway, but there's mikveh before mincha, that's for sure. Mincha we daven with al-chet. And then Chabad goes a 3rd time after the Suda before the Yom Tov. Now, again, this is if you're able to and you want to. That's the way I was taught as a bocher to go 3 times. But again, don't feel guilty if you didn't get a chance or it's for whatever reason. Go at least 1 time Erev Yom Kippur. If you can go twice, it's better. If you go 3 times, even better. That's it. But yes, the best way and the tradition in Chabad is to go those 3 times that I enumerated. Okay, Malchus starts from the right side of the shoulder to the left side to the middle. Yehuzevahu Racham Yechaper 3 times. 3 times 3 equals. If the Dartan equals 39, 39 Malchus. I believe our head, it says on the Siddur, Tzafon, to the north when we kneel and when we do the Malchus, when we lay down on the floor, because Mitzafon to Pasach Hara, evil comes from the north. Iraq is in the north. Mitzafon from, and I just entered a taich. Mitzafon comes from the word hidden. All hidden issues, all problems come from hidden issues that are unresolved. Mitzafon to Pasach Hara. From the hidden issues within a person comes bad, and therefore we have to face them and encounter them, and therefore our head position when we get Malchus is towards the north, towards Tzafon. What I just told you, the second part, I didn't see anywhere. It just entered my mind. What do you want to say, Moshe?
No, I was just going to say, just not to be...
Yeah.
It's interesting because Iraq and Iran are actually to the east of Eretz Yisrael.
Aha. So why? So what's north?
North is Syria.
Syria. Okay. So then maybe I don't know why. I is it north to America? I don't know. No. So I guess it's just a mistake. I guess the mistake I was told or thought, So listen, Syria ain't our friends either. Anyway, yeah. Okay, and then there is a Yom Kippur night. Make sure you eat well. By the way, you don't need to stuff yourself. It's the worst thing. Don't stuff yourself. It's foolish. Drink a lot of water and eat. Eat and the water and pace yourself. And what I find very helpful, especially if it's a very hot day here, we're not going to have a very hot day. I don't know how you guys will have it. But if you stay in air condition and you don't talk much, you don't exert a lot of air, I'm telling you, you'll fast much better. Again, the person has migraines or special things, but I find both Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur, the less I talk, and there's not much to talk on Yom Kippur, you're davening the whole time and all that, and you drank before, I fast Baruch Hashem well. So just bear that in mind. If you do a lot of talking, this and that, it's exerting energy, and you get hungry as the day goes on. If you need to lay down even during the day. Now, if you're able to lay down a shul with your head like this, and but if not, I tell you, sometimes I leave in the middle of the avodah and I go lay down. I'm not saying you should do that, but if I feel schwach or whatever, that's what I do. I'm just saying that you want to be strong at Ne'ilah, you want to be able to daven with Kavanah. So if it's adequate for you to put your head down on the table and then chap a little shluff, do that. But Chabad is makbid to have a hefsek. I don't know what time you finish in Eish Kodesh, but in Chabad, sometimes we can have an hour and a half to 2 hour hefsek, So the Rebbe wasn't against having a long hefsek. So the same, again, you're not in charge, you guys, of how the shul, maybe Moshe is, maybe he decides when the chazan should finish and when mincha should start. But the idea is that, a person should pace themselves. Very, very important. Very important. Okay, the mafta, everyone knows mafta yoina, there's a sgula for parnasa and for shidos, so of course there's that probably goes on in your shuls. Just for the record, you might find this interesting. Rabbi Ber Lazar brings a group of Russian balabatim, some of them oligarchs, to the Ohel, the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah, Shabbos Slichos. He's been doing this for years. So a friend of mine was there. This slichas, it happened to be, they all davened together, I guess, in the large tent, whatever, in the large area. And I think one of them bought an aliyah for, I think, $2 million.
This is by the oil?
Yeah. Listen. Probably this guy. I don't know. I imagine he planned on giving that amount for the year. I don't know, but regardless, they heard the 500 times 1,800. It came out to a few $1 million. In the shul in Miami on 95th and Collins, the shul. Maftir used to go, Maftir Yoina, I think, almost for $1 million, or for a tremendous amount of money. Whatever. But listen, I had in Marin County, in our little shul, I had someone from Iraq, an Iraqi Jew. And he came to shul once or twice a year, Rosh Kippur. And he wanted Maftir Yoina. Then I had an American balabas who started to make some money and became balshuvani, and he said he's a Sukkos. So they had a bidding war, and it went up to $8,000. We all were sitting there. This is like Marin County out in the boondocks. It's like, what? Who's here to? It's not Borough Park. It's not Yerushalayim. And this guy, he had to have it. This Iraqi. This was by him. Chai v'kayam, kapara, kapara, kapara. And he bid him out. And Baruch Hashem, every year since then, for years, I don't know if it's still, the Chabadas, we made $8,000 to $10,000 just from Maftir Yoina. And for us, that was a tremendous amount of money for the operation costs and all that. So it's all mazel, it's all these type of things. Let's go on. Okay, so Yom Kippur is Yom Kippur. What else? Chal Cheit, Al Cheit. Like I say, it says better to say a little bit with Kavanah than a lot not with the Kavanah. So take some time to think about each Al Cheit or some of the Al Cheits. Every one of us knows the area of our weaknesses between man and God, and focus on that. And one thing's for sure, you have to walk out of Yom Kippur knowing Hashem is meichel you, and that Hashem gave you the chasima for a good year, and not God forbid to think otherwise. But you need to act. So that's Yom Kippur. Motzei Yom Kippur is considered a Yom Tiv because it's not just Motzei Yom Kippur, it's the Shem Hashem. Yes, Moshe.
I'm sorry, can we just go back 1 second? Can we go back to VD for a moment?
Yeah.
Is, you know, I've always been under the impression that in Chabad, maybe in certain, maybe Chassidim in general, I don't know, not to dwell overly long on the vidui, like not to beat ourselves up extensively, but to say it and mean it, but not to dwell overly long. Is that does that sound like? Is there something to that? Am I mistaken?
I would not say it's a Chabad thing. No, I would not say that. I would say that in today's generation, to beat yourself up is not going to be helpful in the long run, and that's for everyone. But it could be in a Litvish shul that's very musardik. They're going to beat themselves up, and in Chabad they're not.
Like for example, you see some people have, and again, this is not to be critical, but some people have these small booklets. I don't remember, I'm thinking of one in particular, that it's like a paperback and it explains video sort of in depth. So you see some people like they're standing with this booklet for long periods of time, engaged in video.
Yeah, no, Chabad, we don't do that. No.
But that's my question. At what point, how do we sort of draw the line between...
Look, I'm just telling you, no one told me this and it's not written anywhere. If someone knows that a certain vidui is something that they're guilty of, okay? They should focus on that. It doesn't mean you have to stand there for a half an hour, crying. And that's, like I said, making yourself cry is ridiculous. But you should give an extra few mental minutes to that issue. You're asking for forgiveness. But to make a ceremony out of it, no. But again, Moshe, to say that it's wrong for those people that use those booklets, I would never say that. Chas v'sholem. If they want to use that, and that's their derech, kol hakavod, whatever. But no, I would not tell people to do that. I would tell people to think more about the okay, how are you going to not repeat the same thing? If you're serious about the vidui, tell me how you're not going to repeat it. Because it's natural to do this or that. No, you're serious. What? So put your mental energy in the positive, what I'm going to do, not to repeat it. Let's go on. Okay, you're welcome. So then we go to Motzoi. I said it says we have a Suda. Actually, Motzoi, we have a shtickle Suda. I guess it's best to wash. And we also speak about or start doing something for the Sukkah. Motzoi Yom Tov, to show we're going from one mitzvah to another mitzvah. So again, if you're too tired or it's too late and whatever, you're not going to actually put up any part of the sukkah, at least speak about it. That's what it's brought in halach, I believe. And then the next 4 days is we're osik b'mitzvahs, the lulav and esrog, pitoim, not pitoim, Chabad minig is to use a Calabria esrog from Calabria, that's Italy. Again, if you can't get it, you can't get it. Now I know what they've done. They've taken the Calabria seeds and planted in Eretz Yisrael. I believe that it's still better to use a pure Calabria esrog. I think the Chabad tries if you're able to do that. Second is to use such a esrog that was replanted in Eretz Yisrael. Chas v'sholem to say anything, and there's some people that are makpid dafka from Eretz Yisrael because it's heilig. So choose your tradition. Yes, Yaini. Yaini, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. So my friend of mine, I don't know if you know who he is. His name is Rabbi Abishad. He's the rabbi of the Chabad church.
I know him. Of course, I know him. Yeah.
So his son is selling the Calabria sets and Chabad sets. So he came to my house last week. He said there's going to be a huge. He told me like a few weeks ago there's going to be a huge shortage
So,
because of Shemitah in Eretz Yisrael. A lot of people are getting dafka Calabria that are not Chabad Chassidim. I
okay,
get every year from.
very
He asked
good.
me, what is the story about? He said, you won't believe who is my number one customer this year. I said, who? He
Panovich,
says, not Chabad Chassidim, and not Chassidim, Litvishes,
right.
Litmas. They're buying up all the Calabrias, 550 shekel an esrog, Rabbi. That's like almost $200 an esrog, okay? Because they don't want to deal with the whole Shemitah problem. There's a party right outside of Beit Shemesh. It's free. Take as many as you want. My friend Webby took 50 of them. 50 esrogim. But, so I got myself a gorgeous esrog. I got myself
Baruch Hashem. I want to say that, a person, like I'm traveling to Florida, right? I was about to say to my son, I'll use your esrog, because Baruch Hashem, someone packed up from esrogim. I bought the esrogim in Calabria here. Yeah. But I'm just saying, it's all right if you're short on money and, you use someone else's esrog. It's not, don't feel guilty. I'm just saying that people should know. Of course, if you're able to go the extra mile to spend, it's better. But a person needs to know sometimes the situation. And then there's another thing: if you know someone doesn't have an esrog and you have tzedakah money, buy them an esrog. Buy them an esrog. And if you know that they're Chabad and they want the Calabria and you can afford it, it's a beautiful mitzvah and quietly. It's like buying someone an aliyah, Rosh Hashanah. My father used to always buy someone in our shul growing up, was a Talmud Chacham, but he couldn't afford, and it wasn't an outrageous amount, but didn't make a strong income. My father bought him every year an aliyah. He didn't take the aliyah on the Rosh Hashanah. He bought it for that, his friend. There's something to be said about that. It's a very special. Maybe it's probably even greater than you yourself taking the aliyah. When you pay the money, you buy it and you give it away to someone else. Believe me, you'll get bigger mileage. But okay, so then we're going to Sukkos. Chabad minhag is to have 4 walls. 4 walls, I mean 3.5 walls, and the other half can be like a doorway. Okay? So yes, halachically 2.5 is good, but the minhag Chabad is 3.5 walls. Number 2, a lot of schach. Even though it says you see the stars, Chabad in 770, if you ever were there, Sukkos, and you saw the 770 sukkah, you could barely see the stars. I don't know where that came from, but that's the way Chabadniks have it. If they're able to, again, if it's very hard to get the schach and all that, and it's very difficult for you to put it on, and be very careful when you go up on a ladder, please. We're getting older, the bones are more frail, and here's another thing. If you hear someone in shul tomorrow, this week, next week, and they don't have a sukkah, and you're able to go help them. If not, send your kid to help them quietly. These are great mitzvahs. You talk about Yom Kippur, Moshe. Doing these chusim, buying an aliyah for someone, buying an esrog for someone, helping them build their sukkah, v'chulu. Believe me, those are very big chusim. That you go into Yom Tov with these chusim, it's ein l'maylam azeh. So they were saying, because there are plenty of people don't have the koyach. You get older, it's very hard. It's very hard. I know for me, it's very hard to put up a sukkah. And just saying, yes.
So, question. So, is it? I mean, like what you're saying about would it be like a big mitzvah, or maybe you buy an extra lulav and esrog for the shul, and then whoever doesn't have one?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always say, I wish my esrog becomes brown at the end of during Yom Tov. If so many Yidden made a bracha on my esrog and it became brown, I'll be the happiest. So absolutely, if you buy for the shul and people make it's mamish, you get the schus. You get the schus. We learned it in the Mimer, actually. Remember about being fine, doing merits, being Mazakas Arabim, and we spoke about it. You know, when you make a shear and others join, even though you made the shear, you arranged it, you get all the people's chusim that are learning at that shear. The same is, every time they make a bracha on the esrog and you bought that esrog for the shul, you get part of the schus. The same as a cooler. I see people's names. They donate these big coolers in the shul to people that have hot tea or coffee. That's a great schus. Every time a bracha is being made for the neshama that passed away, that neshama, and you get the schus that thousands of people during the year are drinking coffee or tea from that kettle because you paid for it to be there. So there's certain schusim. Every schus is good, but there's certain schusim that have a lot of mileage on it. Remember, I'm just saying yes. So the answer, Yaini, is absolutely. Things that you do for a community and a shul and things like that. That's why there are people that will sew the curtains or the tablecloths or wash the tablecloths. You ever see people? They'll take the tablecloths, they'll bring it home. They or the wife will wash them. Husband brings it back to shul, or the wife or the kids puts it on a table. That's a great schus. People are davening a nice white tablecloth that you washed. We take these things for granted, but when we think about it, these are great schusim, and such thing doesn't even cost so much money to put it in the wash machine. It's the tircha of schlepping it here, schlepping it there, v'chuli. But or I remember Moshe coming into Eish Kodesh 5:30 in the morning one day. I remember there was a fellow or two every morning. He put out chairs. I don't remember his name. And I was thinking to myself, what a schus? What a schus. He's setting up the shul in the morning so people can have a nice chair to daven in. So these are schusim. These aren't to be, it's not a small change. Let me just continue another few minutes and then we'll finish. So then we have, the Lulav and Esrik, and I would say at Hallel, so our minhag, listen to this. Our minhag is to get up early, as soon as you can, as soon as it's sunrise, go to the mikveh, and then make a bracha in a sukkah before davening. That's Chabad minhag. And then, by Hallel, we don't go out and we don't make a bracha because we already did it. But a lot of people do it the other way. Probably more people do it the other way. It's fine. But if you want to follow Chabad, yes, we get up early so we can do the mitzvah right away, but first go to the mikveh if you're able to, okay? To go to the mikveh and then to make the bracha after brachas. So first you get dressed, you say brachas, you go to the mikveh, then you make the bracha lulav and esrog. And if you have a sukkah in your house and there's a mikveh nearby, jump down, get into the mikveh, come back up, and now make sure that there's a lulav and esrog either in shul or in your house for your family to make a bracha. And women and girls should. This is not something that they're makbid in other communities. In fact, some communities, Kloisenberg, Tzans, they discourage women, but Chabad doesn't. And, we should make sure that women and children have an opportunity to bench. And you'll be surprised, even if some communities are not makbid on that, if you offer them the lulav and esrog, the women and the kids, you'll be surprised they'll make the bracha. So that's important. Chalamoid is chalamoid. And then there is Simchas Torah, the last day. The last day is, by us it's 40 hours, by you it's 24 hours to be b'simcha, to dance, to clap. And there too, to be sensitive to people, to honor them, to open their kodesh, sometimes, hold on, sometimes people, Gaboyim and others, are not careful, and they give the same people Kibbudim to open the Aron Kodesh or to hold the Torah, and they don't give other people. And this bothers me a lot. It's wrong. You want to give someone who you consider chashuv, the Rav, the first Torah, fine. but make sure that everyone gets to hold the Torah. And that includes every bacher, not just the people, the marrieds. Everyone should have a chance to hold the Torah. And if you see, ask, I do it sometimes, I go over, do you mind if you give the Torah to someone else? You don't have to hoard the Torah, give it. The Hakaf, yeah.
It says that like in Ish Kodesh, we always give the first hakafa the Torah is always given to the oldest people in the shul,
Yeah.
and then we go to Kohanim and Levim, and we try to make a very big effort to make sure everybody has a chance.
Even Bacharim,
Oh, yeah.
it's important. This is important. Because if Simchas Torah things are flying and Lebedik and all that, and you forget sometimes. It's important to make everyone feel important, because they are important.
But yes, the sixth hakafa goes to the Chayalim.
Oh, very. In other words, anyone that's been in the army or is in the army, right? Very nice.
Yeah.
If I remember the days of the Rebbe back office, you guys can't imagine. I told the Bachrim last night, how am I supposed to describe to you what was going on here, Tishrei, in my days, not, in 1970s. You can't, it was godliness, the energy. I said, something took over that room, And simply, I remember the Rebbe always had an akafa for people from Eretz Yisrael. And I think sometimes he said people chayalim from the tzava, yeah. The Rebbe took the time to think about not just the politicians who came to him, because they didn't keep a second day, and they came to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe wanted them to dance with a hakafa and others, but people from the army as well. Yes.
Did the Rebbe? I remember I read something once. Did the Rebbe used to dance? Just the Rebbe with his brother-in-law?
Yes, the Rashag, and that was the first and seventh hakafa, and they sang the same niggin every year. They would dance shoulder on shoulder, and the Rebbe had much more koyach as the years went on, and he would make with his head intense, and the Rashag would just go around, but he kept to as much as he can. Then when he passed away in 1989, 1990 and 91, the Rebbe danced himself. He with the Torah, he danced himself, and he made to everybody. It was beautiful. I think I was there once. Remember? Yeah. Kol Hanorim is a great schus. All children. Kol Hanorim is a great schus if you buy that aliyah. And what else could I tell you? It's a day of schusim, and in Chabad we have a Farbrengen at the end of the day, and a mimer is said if someone's there to say a mimer, and of course, look, it's an inyan to be freilach, not to become vulgar and crazy with drinking, and if you see that, it's wrong and it's not right. It's not Yiddishkeit, it's not Chassidishkeit. No question. I try, my health allows, I make Kiddush on a glass of scotch, and that's good to go. I want to be a little more freilach. But I'm not saying people, that's if you feel. But everything has to be done with taste and normalcy. If it becomes crazy and you become sick and vomiting, that's not Yom Tov. It's not Yom Tov, And but like we discussed in one share, Moshe said two guys came in and if someone comes in and don't badger them and don't make them crazy and don't have rachmanis and sit down, drink water. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes people get carried away. Okay, you have to, but to throw them and to embarrass them, that's opposite of Simchas Torah. Even though they should have, they're wrong for becoming this way and totally nuts and all that. But nevertheless, that's the situation on the ground. So what are you going to do? Embarrass them now? hit them. I've seen this in shuls. It's terrible. It's terrible. Yes, they're wrong for disturbing and they're making noise. You know, it becomes become very, very dramatic, you know. But nevertheless, remember, be in control. You're the big boy, and you know, put your hand around them, give them a hug. You need come eat, sit down, you know, and you'll see you can accomplish. Avram, I don't hear from you anything. What do you say? You're so quiet.
Yeah, I'm sleep deprived.
You're sleep deprived. Boy, you need a good Farbrengen. You should have been in that Farbrengen last night.
I should have. I really should have.
You would have not been sleep deprived if you were there for those 2.5 hours. Yonason, how are you? You ready? You ready? You ready for Yom Kippur? You ready for Yom Kippur?
Trying with Hashem's help, getting ready.
Be positive. Be upbeat. It's another day closer to the Geula. That's what I told the Bakarim at the end before I left. I said, Mashiach will come. We have to be zoiche and ask Hashem to be part of it. But what the Torah says, what the Rebbe said is emes. And that's our job, you know, to keep on going and having emunah and helping each other, and helping Yidden, and that's that's a geula pratis, you know. When you help another Yid, that's the biggest geula. Chevra, I want to wish everyone a gmach siva tova, a good gebencht yor. We should only have simchas, nachas, shidduchim, health, children, for us, children, grandchildren, for all of our mishpachas, and for Klal Yisrael. We have the Yeshua, the Nechama, the Korev Mamish, now. And maybe Sukkos, we can do a Farbrengen, you know, online. So let's stay in touch on that, okay? Otherwise, we'll resume Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan. I don't have the English date now, but we'll deal with it. Zaygazon, take care, everyone. Shalom.
And Parnasa.
Parnasa. And Parnasa Bar Chava. Parnasa Bar Chava. Amen. Thank you for mentioning it.